Good morning. Let's see, we've got our giveaway tool all geared up. Let's start collecting those comments. So when you put comments into the field, put hashtag Peeps so we can do a drawing at the end. And with that, I'm gonna remove that, add this. And we're not on Mary Oliver today. Alexander Pushkin is in the house. Okay. I want to understand you. I study your obscure language. So what is it that a language tells us about people, right? What is it that is unique about language? I mean, obviously, language is a means of communication, so it's something that we share. That's how we communicate. So there are certain rules and norms that are, that create the language. But then we each have our own way of interacting with that language that brings out who we are and how we feel about things. It's a cold and blustery day today, and the gray clouds are kind of showing through here. And kind of fogging my brain a little bit today. This is not my first rodeo. This is my third live stream of the morning, and each of them I had a hard time getting behind the cameras for. It's one of it's supposed to be spring, and it's just winter is just not giving it up. At least I've got friends out on the West Coast, and they're still dealing with blizzard conditions. We had a blizzard here last weekend, but just blowing and cold rain right here, right now. So it kind of it's obscuring my language. It's obscuring my brain today. Alexander Pushkin, interesting. I think a lot of just an amazing poet. The cat is agreeing. She's deciding to attack some boxes in the other room, very, very not so subtly. And now she's gonna sing the song of her people, aren't you, honey? That's her obscure language. She is displeased. The weather is warming up, and she wants to go outside, which she can't here. We're in a place where she can't go outside. But she wouldn't want to anyway. The weather is too bad. It's too bad. Like her favorite thing is to garden with me. And there's no place for her to garden here with me. I can garden, but I can't garden with her. I want to understand you. I study your obscure language. And language is more than just words, isn't it? I mean, obviously, I'm into quotes here, so there is a big language. There's a big word emphasis. But your language is all kinds of things. Body language. Your all right, come on over here. It's one of those days, isn't it? You're just gonna be. This is her language. This is your language, isn't it? Your language is you don't feel comfortable, so you need to get, and mom needs to hold you like this, just like this, in this position. Isn't that right? Because this is your language. What is this language that you're telling everybody when you need to be right here? This is your language for what, Nixie? What is this language that you're speaking to me? Now you're needing to go off and explore. Sort of. Sort of. Not really. Yep, there she is. Yeah. So, obviously, the cat has her own language. Has her own obscure language that she needs us to comprehend if we're going to understand her in all of her catness. What's your language? My stepfather never apologized for anything, never admitted he did anything wrong, and but he would do these really kind of odd things. When he had a fight with my mom, it was again he in a weird kind of convoluted way. He couldn't really fight with her, and it was weird. It was really kind of odd. So couldn't apologize, couldn't do anything, But what he would do, you'd know he was his way of extending an olive branch to a certain extent was that he'd stop on his way home from work and pick up green grapes. Green grapes. That was his language that he used to say, you know, it was not it was not I'm sorry. It was calm down. And the interesting thing is, later on I got to look at how food affects you and what the languages of food, like flowers have. That's another thing that has a language is flowers, right? Certain flowers have certain meanings. Some of them are universal. Some of them are particular. For instance, the little chicory flower that I've got on there, that little chicory blue flower, for me, it's like Corningware's got that chicory blue flower. The chicory blue flower is something that's ubiquitous in the Midwest. It's in the cornfields. It was more so before all of the herbicides, right? It was always in the cornfields, and it was such a delight because the color blue is such a rare color in nature, and it was just such a happy thing. And then I realized that, oh wow, the cornflower is also one of the reasons why it's so good to have it in the fields. It's not a bad thing to have in the fields. One of the reasons why it's such a good thing to have in the fields is after the harvest, when you turn the animals, whether it's pigs or cows or sheep or goats or whatever, that go in there to forage, and what they're doing is they're eating the leftover stalks or whatever, but they're also eating the chicory, and the chicory acts as it's one of those things that helps regulate internal parasites, right? And then I discovered that the chicory is also a bit of a neo-Nazi thing, and maybe that is part of the it was just a weird kind of a thing where it's kind of like a signal where in Germany you can't say Nazi things, but it's going to be that. And I'm like, oh, well, how unfortunate is that? And, I had long had that as a brand. I mean, for 10 years before I figured that one out. And I'm like, wow. Well, maybe, hopefully, people who would be so inclined might think I'm a sympathizer, come on and hear a different message. Maybe that's a way to send a different message, right? But with the green grapes, I found out later that the green grapes calm the mind. So he wasn't apologizing to her. He was extending an olive branch, saying, "Calm your butt down." I'm sorry if you got upset by that. It's your problem. You're the one that's being upset. Yeah. Well, that's one thing to do it. And but when he was asked about that, he says, "Well, she's always liked green grapes." And I'm like, she doesn't like green grapes. She doesn't. I mean, she's okay with green grapes. Green grapes were never a thing for her. I don't know where he got the idea that she liked green grapes. That was not a deal. When he'd do things that needed an apology, to me, of course, he was never going to apologize to me. I would find not green grapes, but pomegranate, because they were rare. They were really rare back then. And they were kind of one of those things that were kind of picky to eat, right? I guess they still are picky to eat. They take some effort to get to the good stuff. So, anyway, whatever he was trying to express to me with that, I don't know. But I just knew if there was a pomegranate in the refrigerator, he probably did something that he regretted, but he couldn't tell me about. And I knew the pomegranate was mine. Everybody in the family knew that that was my pomegranate. So, here's to the pomegranates. Here's to the obscure languages that people speak to each other, right? All right. Have a blessed day.